Right. Tell me when we're up.
We are alive.
Dude, I'm so excited about tonight. Y'all, welcome to it's the first time we're going to say this the Drag Drive Repeat Show. That's right. The Drag Drive Repeat Show, episode 47.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm so ready. This show is huge tonight. Huge for us,
Yep.
huge for us, everybody out there watching. And there's some big announcements in here tonight that we're going to go over. A lot of really cool stuff that's happening behind the scenes. A lot of really cool stuff that has just come about as of yesterday. And I'm telling you, we're fixing to take the world by storm. It's going to be a great time. But listen, tonight's show, Lonnie Tibbs is on to talk about a last minute adventure with Joel Kerr that got him in for sick week. Listen, this is going
Oh
to be
yeah.
crazy and funny. Everybody's going to love this. We're going to talk about the slow car event a little bit more. We're going to kind of push that concept a little bit further. And then big announcement in the middle of the show. And then we have Mike Galimi on. Dude, like
Dude.
the I don't know. I'm excited to hear his whole story. I've been listening to some podcasts that he has been on, and nobody is going to tell the stories we're telling tonight. So it's going to be great. I want to say thanks to everybody that's going to make comments tonight, everybody that has hit the share button, that is part of this great thing we like to call Drag Drive Repeat. All right. If you don't know, my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of this show. I am a drag and drive statistician, promoter, and announcer. Listen, I live, breathe, eat, sleep drag and drive racing of every kind. There were guys at work the other day. They were talking about like they were talking about football or something about blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't even. I had no idea any of the names they were talking about. It was awesome. Well, my name's Mike Narks. Eric, introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on and who you are.
I am Eric White. I think my new title is Mike's right hand man. Yeah.
Well, that's only at the circuit. That's only you, but you are definitely the right hand guy. You're the second half to this sandwich.
Yep. So I do artwork for Drag Drive Repeat, other drag and drive events, do racer artwork for that, the circuit, Midwest Drags, Back to the Streets, Nostalgia Nights. I did
Mhm.
artwork for all that stuff. And I run my own channel, 815 LSX Swaps, which has been booming lately, like 300 subscribers in 30 days. So it's been pretty
Bring
awesome.
it on. And generally a rising creator on Facebook. I mean, you had a great year in
Yes.
2023. Well, guys, I'll tell you who else had a great year, and that was you guys. You know why? Because we put out more than 3,000 pieces of content in 2023. And we just want to say thank you to our race car friends, the folks that are out there. You guys are amazing. I want to say thank you to our sponsors as well: Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cam, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. Couldn't do it without all of you guys combined. So as you jump in here, guys, please tell us where you're watching this from. Tell us what site you're on. You know, we want to know all that. We want to see where all we're going here. And then, guys, just hit the share button as we get into this. All right, man, let's kick it off. You ready?
Well, let's hit some comments real quick first because we
Okay.
got some good stuff here. Sport About Garage is on the road to sick week.
Yes.
We've
Yes.
got
Can't wait.
we've got Jay, couple days and they're headed south.
Yes.
We got Chris Story in here is excited. Somebody else is
Hmm.
saying excited. I think you started a new trend here with excited. KJ Jones says I might have a story or three that Mike might not want folks to hear.
That's
Uh,
exactly right. That's
uh,
exactly right.
Chris Story is also watching from the road on the way to sick week. So
Man, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. So we're going to talk about sick week in a minute because there's a lot of stuff coming in. There's my mama right there, Miss Susan Goff Short, talking about she's from Blytheville, Arkansas. Any Arkansas folks up in here say what's up? Ah,
Ray,
Ray. Hey,
Ray's in
buddy.
here,
Yep, we're going to
excited.
talk about some of that stuff with him in a minute, or not with him, but about him in a few minutes. So this is going to be really cool. Oh man, Brian says they're packing the drag week trailer currently. Y'all, if you're not following Fast Act Racing, you need to do that. Pause this, go over and jump on Fast Act Racing on Facebook. Wait until you see how Jay and Brian rebuilt the top of their drag and drive trailer. So crazy.
Uh, John saying that the logo makes it look like I have a mullet. That's actually the new chair that you're seeing.
It kind of does.
But I,
Yes,
I can see it.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
Derek's in here as well, so comments are popping.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, cool. Well, I'm excited to hear Derek Putnam's buttery voice in just a few days. That's right. We are a few days from sick week, and we're diving deep into some of that stuff here in a minute. We're going to list the cars that are 6 second. Well, let's stop talking. Let's stop talking about that because we're going to talk about that in a minute, big time. So, guys, we talked about this a little bit last week's show, talking about a slow car only drag and drive, and dude, it blew up.
Yeah, this was on Saturday.
Crazy. Yeah. Oh, it was on Saturday.
Yep.
Even crazier. So.
Yeah, the idea behind this was just to get some conversations going,
Mhm.
for different ideas, and boy, did it get some conversations
I
going.
mean, more than 400 comments on the post and something like 30 or 40 shares, and it was really funny, as we looked through that stuff, our thought process was, what is the next step? What do we, what's who's looking for what? How do we keep expanding this community and things like that? And so, of course, I nerded out just a little bit, and I thought, could you actually mirror a few classes from like large events, but limit stuff to 10-0 and slower, which was the thought process behind this. Something that is strictly for the slow guys, because obviously slow guys race as hard as anyone else. It just generally costs a little bit less to run a 12-second car than it does a 6-second car or 7-second car. So that was kind of the thought process behind this. And really, it started because I was driving home and I was like, man, there's so many cars that run this. So I got to thinking. I saw John Stonecipher in here earlier. He is our naturally aspirated guy. Anytime I have any NA questions, I call him. So a lot of those cars are NA, and racing fast in a 10-second naturally aspirated car is pretty quick. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really getting down. You're going to have to do something. Pro Street has a big offering of 10-second plus cars. So I was kind of thinking, how we get there. And so that was our thing. What do you do? How do you get there? If you were going to host this event, how would you do it? Now, I will say this. Folks had tons of great points. Some folks were saying I would never attend an event like that. Some folks were like, we need this event in the community. So it did what we wanted it to. It got people kind of talking and maybe thinking just that one step further for the next event. Because here's the reality of this entire drag and drive community that we're in. We're still very, very early in figuring this stuff out. For a
Yep.
long time, we had one event, then we had 3 events. Now we have 30 events. So there are a lot of different styles that we're going to see, and a lot of different ways that promoters can do this. And I think the hardest part for a promoter that would put this together, I will put this in the world. I have no intention to host this event. That was not our intention, was for us to start figuring this out. But for the folks that do host this event, I think somebody will at some point. It's gonna be really hard because one of the biggest things that people were commenting on was, do you like it? We need the fast cars to bring spectators,
Yep.
but guys, like, bracket races have large spectator counts. So I was kind of trying to think, how do you get that many people in? So, anyways, I want to say thanks to everybody that voiced their opinion. It really was pretty cool to watch this go down. And I tried to stay out of it. I wasn't trying to go one way or the other. I do think that because there are so many racers within that mix, that somebody could put this on. But here's the key thing. The key thing is, the folks that race a 12 or 13-second car typically don't have the wrench time that it takes to convert that, right? If that is the case, either those folks like are going to be Zach Stevens or Scott Franks Jr., where they're going to make 15 passes a day, or they're gonna want to do one and done and be gone, right?
Hmm.
Well, if they're one and done and gone, what do those folks do all day? So, as a promoter, my thought here, how do you take care of those folks and let them have more fun, because they're not going to be at the track all day? So that's kind of that thought process, that next step in what we're doing here. What's
Yeah.
Dave talking about here?
He's saying Central Victorian Drag and Drive. Do this
Hmm.
exact event here in Australia. 650 on the 8th.
Yep, yep. And there's a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that. And one thing that Matt Frost did say, and I thought it was really, he's 100% correct. And we're going to ask Mike Galimi this a little bit later. Um, he does a great job of including everyone no matter what. And that really is typical of all the events. Some events go faster than others, but everybody has done well to include everyone and have an offering at each event. This whole thought process was, could you begin to, I don't want to say segregate it, but could you do that? So,
It,
anyways,
it,
just want
it
to say thanks to everybody.
And one thing you were kind of mentioning about how do you keep people at the track a little longer, you could
Hmm.
do like some different challenges. So if there's like a
Yeah.
10 to 11 second, you could set a goal of some odd number like a
Hmm.
1065, and
Yeah.
if somebody hits that on the dot, then they get whatever. But that's
Yeah.
another way where you could kind of get people to stick around a little bit, maybe a little extra incentive to
Yeah.
hang out and make a couple more passes.
Yeah. You could definitely play some games if you're, and again, some of the stuff that we're comparing all this to is 300 car events. Is it at some point we're going to figure out how to do this with 200 cars and
Yeah.
it be successful and work. So again, are you going back to, we're trying to Zach Stevens, yep, going to be there all day. We're going back to as the community continues to grow, eventually we're going to have to bring in new folks. Is this what's going to bring in new folks? Because maybe somebody wants to be the head man at the table. They want to be the fastest car on the property, but maybe they only have something that runs 1030s or something like that, or a late model car. I mean, could you put this in the nines? Maybe I feel like a 9 second car is pretty quick.
Yeah.
So like it's right on the top. So
Yeah, I know there was some comments saying move it to 850 and all
mhm.
different kind of ideas.
Yep. And again, we were going back to all the stuff that comes from slower cars and the large number of racers that accumulate in that class. And that's where people start. It's funny, we're beginning to see this now. 12-second car, 2 years later they show up with a 10-second car, 2 years later they show up as 850 car. We're beginning to see all of that. So yeah,
Derek here says it sounds like the sick week and sick summer bullseye challenge class.
yeah. He was talking about when you were saying like a 1065 dial, which I love the bullseye class. I wish it was a challenge. I wish it was something that everybody could participate in during the day because it really is cool. They pull a number from a hat or a randomizer or whatever, but it's a, let's say they pull 60.65. Well, everybody in that class or in that challenge class has an opportunity to run that. They just have to figure out their tuning and get to that stuff. And they do a winner each day of that class. So
Cool.
kind of a neat deal. Whoever's closest to the 65. So racers and rods here saying maybe something new with slower cars. The drive portion is easier than in a pro mod, and that's right. So maybe you could stretch the miles a little bit. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, reaction time challenge. Yeah, that would be good. We actually did that last year. The Blacklist, a racing organization out of Tulsa, did that for the circuit. It's really cool. A lot of folks. Man, we got comments going crazy in here. I can't keep up. All right, let's
Yeah.
move on because if I keep reading all those, we're just gonna talk about those all night. All right, so let's talk about event updates. This is a big deal. Cruise and Lose is sold out. It's exciting for regional events to begin to see this. You know, I mean, they posted their stuff last week, right? I think it was last week or 10 days ago, something like that. Sold out, no spots available. You can jump on the wait list by finding them. Again, that is one that is in Kearney, Nebraska, and Iowa. And then the next spot, I'm assuming that Big Sky Race Week has sold out. They had one spot remaining yesterday. Surely someone has taken it. I made this earlier and it was like, I'm just going to have faith that they've sold out. So I hope they have. Austin and the team over there have done a great job. All the team, Tyler and the team at Cruise and Lose have done a great job as well. Lots and lots of posts, lots of stuff that we're seeing come out from all of this. What's NHRA stock here saying?
Pretty much all
All
the index classes will have cars running to the absolute end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're chasing a number, that's the way it's going to go. And then Street Weekend UK has sold out as well, guys. That's 3 regional events. If you include ours, that's 4 regional events that have sold out already for the year. That's, I would say, probably 500 racers that are lined up to get a 2 or 3 day drag and drive event ready to go. I mean, I'm so ready. And across the world, you got Cruise and Lose in Iowa, you've got Big Sky Race Week in Montana, you got UK in the UK, Street Weekend in the UK. So, and then the next up here, Drop the Hammer registration opens February 10th. I know with the work they've been doing and having to push it back from last year, this one should sell out pretty quick too. This is another Michigan based drag and drive event. It's going to be a good one, May 31st through June 2nd. Ought to be a good time as well. And then we saw registration dates for, no, sorry, registration for Rocky Mountain Race Week is February 16th through and 17th. Again, the 16th is for returning racers from the previous year. It's one of the coolest things that Matt does. I think it's really, really a great way to keep the family growing. So the hard part is it ends up only leaving about 30 or 40 spots available to the general public. So a lot of folks jump on the wait list. And as um, veteran racers realize they're not going to make it, they will call in and do the wait list and tell, hey, we're not going to be able to make this. So
And then
please
they
do that.
tested.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they tested their new system
Hmm.
over the weekend too.
And it seemed to work really well. So they had 300 spots that they were, basically for a dollar, you could jump in. I think they were doing it just to test the software, but you could jump in as an opportunity to get the only to get the first ticket available for the for either one of the Rocky Mountain Race Week or Race Week, whichever one you chose. So pretty cool there. So I'm excited about that. Street Weekend 2024. Street Week Sweden, not Street Weekend, Street Week Sweden 2024. Registration opens February 23rd. Keep that in mind. And then registration for Race Week, that's right, the second Rocky Mountain 2.0. Registration dates are March 8th and 9th, but they also released tracks this week. So it's a lot of new tracks, a brand new state that I can find has never had a drag and drive event in it, and then a bunch of new roads. Going to be really neat trips. A ton of your same friends. So I mean, there's a lot of people that return to race week, and again, we should see some really really fast times. Rocky Mountain Race Week is in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Ennis, Texas, Mocan. So that the folks that attend race Rocky Mountain this year are going to be able to put up some serious numbers because the altitude is going to be way different. And then the folks that are race week family, they should have an opportunity to really run down some roads that we've never seen in any drag and drive. So they're doing the Pine Valley Raceway, Texas Motorplex, which we've been to a couple different times. They're doing a drive day because the road from Texas Motorplex to State Capitol Raceway in Port Allen, Louisiana is like 450 miles.
Wow.
It's a trip, dude. And so, you're at that point, you're halfway across Louisiana and you're halfway across Texas as well. So, Twin City Motorsports Park after that in Monroe, Louisiana, and then back to Pine Valley in Lufkin, Texas. So, super, super cool. NHRA stock, Ed Hohenberger. Yes, that is the same week as Drag Week. Um, Theoretically, we really don't know what the dates are for drag week yet. We have heard that Wednesday is at 1:31, but that hasn't really been confirmed by everything. So again, Mike Galimi is on later tonight. So he's a part of the drag week team. So we're going to kind of, I mean, I'm not going to karate chop him into telling us good cool stuff, but I think we probably can. So um and then one of the biggest announcements that we've probably ever made here on the channel, this is like this next level of stuff we keep talking about. We're pushing the envelope over here to go as hard as we can. And guys, I want to say thanks to Ray for making this possible. We met up with the guys at PowerTube TV at PRI. Brian and Ray are awesome. They have been so good to us behind the scenes, and we're ready to be good to them in front of this camera. And guys, this will probably be the first episode that drops on PowerTube TV because you will be able to watch us there and on their YouTube channel. But guys, you've got to go take a picture of the screen, run up to your TV right now, take a picture of this screen, download the PowerTube TV app. It's well, let me just run through the list of shows that they have. Pastime, you remember that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's coming back. It's really cool and a big new exciting host with that one. I don't know if I can even talk about it yet, but I'm really excited about that. I see Ray here saying huge fans. Thank you very much. Pink's all out. Stomp on that loud pedal with Clay Milliken is on there, guys. tons and tons and tons of car content. That's obviously what this whole thing is around. The coolest part about Ray is he's one of the guys that came up with all of that content. Oh, he's saying I can't release that uh, new host of pastime that's coming back. I'm pumped about being able to bring that out. So again, they're getting exclusive content from us. So the events that we have attended, we're putting videos together for those, and moving forward, you'll be able to watch like exclusive things that nobody else sees on PowerTube TV from us. So, we're going to kick that off right with Sick Week 2024. So, you're going to be able to see stuff again on our channel as well. We're going to keep doing all that we're doing, all our normal stuff, but this is another way for us to get into a lot more, get in front of a lot more people. And guys, just keep preaching drag and drive.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep shoveling it down people's throat.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. Event
Oh,
coverage, the show, the news, all going to be on there. It's going to be really, really cool.
oh,
Something kind of big for us. So, and like you
yeah,
mentioned, it's going to get us out there to a whole new audience and introduce Drag and Drive to, people that watch PowerTube TV. So I'm excited
yep.
to see what that does for us and for the community.
Yep. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. It should give us an opportunity to really kind of keep pushing the envelope. We want to see more people come in because you can go to somewhere and say, "Oh yeah, I'm attending a Dragon Drive this week," and they're like, "What does that even mean?" They don't even know what it is. You can say, "Oh, like Hot Rod Drag Week," and they're like, "I don't know what that means." So it's going to be really really cool. All
Yep.
right, guys. Let's move on here. I see Lonnie Tibbs is in the backstage, dude. We'll get you in just we're about 6 minutes. Bring him on to tell one of the coolest stories that's going to happen at Sick Week, guys. I'm always digging around on Summit. I'm always there. But listen to this. Did you know that Summit Racing was started by a drag racer?
I did not.
Yeah, dude had like a L67 Corvette, like with a 427 in it, and then got a deal on some parts, and then his buddies wanted the same deals. So he's like, okay, well, I can do that. So then that is when this began, like 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago, dude, 55 years ago. It's crazy. So, but obviously they help a ton of stuff. They help with contingencies. They sponsor a ton of different things. But they're a part of like NHRA, IHRA, Australian Drag Racing League or Drag Race Association, European Drag Racing, Southeast Gastro Association. That's one of my favorite ones. If y'all don't know that, our friends at Midwest Drag Race Series, the ones I'm going to be helping this year. Midwest Junior Super Series, the NHRA Junior Dragster Racing League. I thought that was kind of cool. And then PDRA, WDRA, but guys, they are huge supporters of us, right?
Yes.
They help us do all of this, the show, the news, the awards show, the one we hosted at PRI, that big first time anybody had ever done that. They did that for us. And then the World Champion Point Series, because that's what kicks off with Sick Week is the beginning of the 2024 Drag and Drive World Champion. We're back on that. That's right. And then they're presenting sponsor of the circuit. They have they're part of Hot Rod Drag Week, Sick the Mag, and all of their events, Street Week Sweden. And then I messaged Tommy, our contact there, and I was like, it's like, what else? He's like, man, I can't even list it on this text. He's like, dude, get with me next week at Sick Week and we'll get you a list. So I'm excited to be a part of their stuff, and I feel like they're excited to be a part of our stuff. So we appreciate them very much. And so obviously, I was digging around. Speedmaster has a ton of parts that are $10 Summit bucks right now, but I found these right here. I thought this was kind of cool as we're coming up to Cadillac Attack at Bradenton or Orlando. These are one of the Fluidine intercoolers and heat exchangers for the CTSV is on sale this week. I think it's like 80 or 90 bucks off or something like that, and it's in stock. One was in stock, so they had a big deal on that. And then this light, I know I've talked about this rechargeable LED light before, but I feel like this is a pretty good deal, especially for drag and drive racers, because it folds in half. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take up a ton of space, and I know it's only 15 bucks off, but that's like 15%. So pretty good deal, and you can find those on the clearance sections of summitracing.com. So that's what I found on Summit. Did you find anything cool this week? I know you were looking around a bunch there. We were talking about some parts the other day.
Yeah. Nothing that I got prepared for the show.
Awesome. Easy enough. I'm sure you just bought it. All right. Let's talk to Mr. Lonnie Tibbs. Lonnie, are you ready? He said yes. Perfect. Dude, tell us about this adventure that you called me about the other day.
Well, uh, first off, I just want to say It's good to see you guys, and
Hey, you too, man.
I know it's been a while, and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll get to see you really soon. It looks like so.
Oh, I'm so ready.
So we always have a good story. This year, I'm not working in the freezing snow. I'm not working in the back of a trailer driving it down.
Yep.
Nothing crazy. This one's easy. This one's easy. I got a phone call from a guy named Joel Kerr. He is a like an outlaw. It would be like a 10, outlaw 10-5 type thing out
Hmm.
there, outlaw pro, basically a almost a pro mod but steel body stuff. So,
Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah, the real stuff.
Yeah.
And he basically said, "Hey, I lost my co-pilot because of passport issues. Hey, if I make it in, could I go?" And I said, "Buddy, it's like 2 weeks out, week out, or something like that." And he
Yep.
said, "I said, sure, I'll go." Big story, not big story, but in my life is I'm actually stepping away from racing for the first time since I was 14. So I'm, off in my whole program, just
Hmm.
trying to, focus on my daughter who's got a pretty good running career, I think, headed in the right
Nice.
direction. So we're focusing on that. And but to get back to the story, I said, sure. I mean, I'm as long as it's not my money.
Right.
So this is a great day, right? Um, so he, so 2 days ago, when it be, I think when I talked to you was
Hmm.
basically I get a call and he tells me, hey, I got in. I said, okay. I mean,
You're like, dude, the event's in 4 days.
yeah, I'm like, what are you gonna DHL your car here, or what's the plan? So he said no. He's like, what do you think we could do? I ran some ideas by him, and he's like, let's just go down there. We'll both fly. We'll meet down in Orlando, and we'll buy a car. And I said, well, there's no we in buying the car. He said, okay, I'll buy the car. I said, that's a good idea. So let's start that off, right? So he said,
Yeah.
he's bringing a stack of cash, and we are going car hunting Saturday morning,
Oh my gosh,
um,
dude.
That's
to
awesome.
to find a drag and drive car.
Yes.
It's stories like this I tell people all the time. Like, you can't make this stuff up. I mean,
Mm-mm.
there's not another breed of person that is gonna, you know, jump in on something, drive a week in it, and try to make it work. Well, we're not bringing tools. We're
Yeah.
not bringing trailers.
Yep.
We don't have anything. We just have our contacts that we've met through Drag and Drive. We
Yes.
have great friends down there. It's funny. I just talked to Paul and David Armentrout. They're headed down.
Yep.
They're in the Green Nova. They're making the trip, and he's like, I didn't even have to say anything besides the fact they're like, we got to bet that they don't think I'm coming. But so the thought is, if we need something, we got people
Yep.
down there to help, and that's awesome about the Drag and Drive community is it's not about just the cars. It's really
Yep.
about the people. Um, you know, Mark Maynard, who's in the Chevelle, was testing. Basically we check in on each other almost every other day,
That's
and
awesome.
it's just that's a friendship that we just met through Drag and Drive.
Yep.
These guys from England. In 2015, I smoked my proven drag and drive car, which kind of turned me down this downhill after that car broke. Was to keep changing cars because I said, you know
Hmm.
what? There's nothing proven. That green Mustang Lucky Bear was proven, won everything it entered, would go out and dominate, and then we come to drag week, and the first day in testing, I split the block in half. So,
Oh my
and that wasn't an LS, that was a small block Ford. So, I tell people, it doesn't have to be proven. Testing is
God. Hmm.
great, but I'll tell you right now, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
Nope.
it's one of those things. It's kind of just like this, you guys' career on this. You didn't know what was going to happen with this. You
Yeah.
all took a chance, right?
Yep.
And you just hope everybody follows along. And I think you guys are doing a great job and,
Thanks.
trying to bring out all the different content and all that stuff. But it's going to be an
Oh,
interesting story. So I'm hoping to get
yes.
you, Marco, to maybe you can. I know you're not coming what till Sunday.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Well,
Man, I'm really having a hard time with it now because I'm like, I know. So I have an 8 hour drive round trip, like 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours at night on Saturday. And I'm going to be texting you all day. Dude, what'd you find? Dude, what'd you
yeah.
find? So
Yeah,
I really intend to, once we get there, you're one of the cars, one of the folks we're following all week, hopefully all week anyways. We'll definitely be contacting each other. I'll find you. We'll get stories every day. I want to have a recap of what you guys learned about whatever car you end up with. And, if there's anything we can feed to folks that are out there watching this, man, we'd love to do that.
yeah,
Cars you end up, you like, these are the top three. These, we bought this one, all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. We definitely want to bring them this story.
Well, he leaves 4 a.m. to 4 a.m. tomorrow. So
Mm,
he's got a long flight and he's gonna, I said, just start searching. We started
yep.
searching marketplace, and I'll tell you right now, uh, like the whole Florida area is like a hotbed for just crazy stuff. There is
Yeah.
some, we found a Kia that is a full-blown race car. And
Wow.
I
Like
mean,
a
I'm
Kia,
like a
KI.
yeah, like a KI, like a Kia Sophia. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Look it up on Marketplace in Florida. And I said that one won in my book. He said absolutely not. And so, like, the stuff that you can find, and it's like
Yeah.
he's like, um, I don't know which way we're gonna go. Obviously, full blown race car. We brought a pro mod. That was tough to do.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things that it's funny now. People on the group are hitting me up about cars if I want to buy. So
Yep.
hey,
Yeah,
we're
I
open for
saw I saw
anything.
in there yeah, I saw in there, blown 68 C10, and I hope that was, yeah, I think that's Justin Chestnut. If it is, dude, buy that truck. That's a big block blown, pro street truck. It'd be cool.
Yeah, and I told you, I said, look, we're trying to find something that's not already proven.
Yep.
The whole point of it is just it's for the fun of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who didn't get in, and he's willing to fly. I don't know what's the mileage from England to here.
I
So,
don't know, a lot.
with no car,
Yep.
and that's where I tell people just don't give up. Like they
Yeah.
just, I'll tell you, I'm not the one that easy give up, even though I've been out twice. But I've
Yep.
always tried to make the gate because I know I took somebody else's spot.
Yep.
My goal is to make the gate, make the first, and just kind of see where the ball falls from there. But
Yeah, and we talked about that on Monday. I was like, "Man, whatever you buy, you can't do any testing on
oh yeah,
Sunday. No
deal, yeah,
testing. You
no,
gotta make a pass during the
yeah,
event."
yeah.
So did
There,
you got a budget or anything on what he's looking for?
so. He's a good dude. We went from he said anything from $5 to $50,000 is so he's like if he gets stuck at customs, he's like it's gonna be less. So
He's like,
um
"Listen, I gotta get out of here. I gotta
yeah,
find a car."
I said, just crotch about 25 of it and that should be good at least.
Yeah.
So um, you know, we don't want to make it, I don't think anything's going to be easy.
Yeah.
No parts or no extra parts. We don't know what it's going to need. And, it seems like if you talk to anybody, they're like, oh, this thing will make it. It's only 1,000 miles. Well, they have no idea.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, most people have no idea. For some reason, that 1,000 mile marker is just silly. It's
Yeah.
just
Oh, I'd drive this anywhere.
yeah, anywhere. I'll
Whatever,
be
bud.
so I'm hoping somebody says that, and I'll say, look, if it doesn't make it, you give me half my money back. That's what we're
Yes.
gonna sign on right there. So
That is awesome. Well,
so
What's
guys,
the
go ahead.
what's the plan with the vehicle once the event's over?
we're not sure. We're talking about the
Eric,
Orlando
this
ho
came about 2 days ago, bud.
Yeah, yeah. So we
They
did
gotta
look
get the
up.
car first.
Yeah, that's funny is where he's Eric, you're way ahead of it too. Joel's the same way. He's like, should we buy a radiator prior? Because 95% of it's going to overheat. Should we get I said, radiator for what? We don't even know what it's going to go in. You know what I mean? Like, what is it going to go? He's like, oh,
Uh,
so like over planning is already happening. So,
yeah.
the thought with, where it's going to stay, there's actually a storage facility. He did do a scout that there's a
Nice.
storage facility right next to the Orlando hotel we're staying at. And then obviously I can drive the truck and trailer later and
Mhm.
come down and pick it up. His next goal, and we got to convince him when you see him. I sent pictures uh,
Yes.
to Michael about what his car over there.
Yeah.
is freaking awesome. You know,
Yeah.
it's a 3000 steel body, but he also has like a carbon body car as well. And I'm trying to get him to get out of that real expensive. You know, they only have one track over there, so his
Wow.
racing has really gotten cut down. So he's got, you know, a blower, whole like 4 century block. Like he's, you know, it's a professional race setup type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, dang it.
And
I don't have the car he has now on Facebook setup.
okay,
But I'll
no
show it
worries. So
later.
yeah, so we're, you know, hoping that, you know, he dumps all that full race stuff and just commits to come in.
Yeah.
He already did Route 66. He did, most people know him. He did, he took a rental. He took
Yep.
the GT 350 on Route 66.
Yep.
Um,
That's where this picture actually came from, was him and his I think his wife on Death Week.
yes, yes, yeah.
Yep.
So they took that and they got that rental for free. The air conditioning went out, so he got to drive that whole thing for free. And all his wife wanted was a car with air conditioning. So,
Oh man.
so the whole trip was botched because of, you know,
Oh,
no air. So, but it's you know, and I said, look, if air conditioning is the only problem we have, we'll just be lucky. So,
Yeah.
yes.
um, but you know, that's the plan. So,
Well,
uh,
I'm really excited to follow this along. And again, it creates so much fun content because you got to find the car, you got to figure out what bugs it has because there will be bugs there, and you'll be working through. Tom Bagley did this a couple months ago, bought that Fox body sight unseen, and throughout the week kept making it faster. And that's what I
Yeah.
think is going to happen here. So it's going to be
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, we're gonna either make it faster or it's gonna burn down. So,
Yeah,
you know,
one of the two.
one or the two. We're good at either. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, dude, thanks so much. I want to have you on the show later in the season. I want to talk about, obviously, we'll tell this whole story, all of what happened then, and then obviously tell about your drag and drop history because you've got a good storied one. It's a lot of fun. You've done a lot of cool stuff. So we definitely want to have you back on.
oh, sure, no problem.
Awesome. Well, man,
All right.
thank you so much for coming on
Hey,
tonight. Good luck, and
hey,
I'll see you in a
we're
couple
hoping
days.
to get something with more seats so you can ride with us.
Oh, but I'll sit in your lap.
Oh, deal. You don't have to tell me twice. So, all
All right, Lonnie. Thanks so
right,
much,
we'll
man.
talk soon. See ya.
See
See you.
ya.
Dude, what an adventure, man. Are you serious? How crazy is that?
Man, that would be so much fun. Th- and for me, I'm always the one that's got to have a plan and everything.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah.
something that if I had the money to just go out, buy
Yep.
something, and then take it, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be really fun. All right, well, guys, let's get Mike Galimi is in the backstage, so we want to get through some of the content we've got here before we bring him on. We actually ran a little bit longer than I wanted to, so let's talk about weather for Sick Week, y'all. It looks like it's going to be absolutely perfect for really really fast cars. Look at that, dude. 64 degrees is a high.
Yeah.
You kidding me? We're going to be in like the mid 50s in the mornings. 3% humidity. This is going to be absolutely crazy.
What's
Absolutely
the
crazy.
what's
So,
the temperature where you're at right now? Just curious.
yeah, right now it's in the 40s here. So
Okay.
it's the warmest it's been in like 14 days. And again, I've been helping a buddy at a body shop last couple weeks, and we had the doors up on the shop today because it was sunny outside. We were like, please bring
Nice.
it on. There's still
Nice.
snow in some of the shady spots, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Yeah, Brandon Parker says cars will be hauling, and that is for sure. I mean, just look at that, dude. Like that's prime time drag and drop stuff. I can't wait to get this. Looks like Sunday may be a little questionable, but again, I don't get there till that afternoon. Hopefully, that is afternoon thunderstorms. I didn't even care to look because again, it's Florida and we're 4 days from the event, so
Yeah.
it'll change 3 times between now and then. Uh,
Absolutely.
this little segment here's cars to watch. I think during the week. Guys, if you're not paying attention to Big Three Racing, you need to go follow their stuff right now. Look at this car that Chuck's going to drive all week.
Dude, that thing is wicked. Every picture I see of it
Man,
is it's gorgeous.
Oh, I can't wait. This thing is going to be so loud. Huge Pro Charger on the front. They're saying one of the loudest cars they've ever heard. This is going to be pretty crazy. So this is one of the cars we're going to watch very closely throughout the week, mainly because it's insane. I mean, look at the zoomies, dude. Out the fender. I can't imagine driving that for 1,000 miles on the street.
Yeah, yeah, unless they've got something crazy planned to to
Yeah.
move that exhaust. It's gonna be
No,
in
no,
your ear the entire
it'll
time.
stay. There was a comment on one of their posts saying that they did have some mufflers that can stick on top, but we'll see. I'm sure that that probably won't work. Derek Putnam here says, "R.I.P. track workers hearing." Yes,
Yeah.
that's going to be certainly certain. And then, guys, this is going to be a good showdown. Doc McIntyre in the Sea Red Camaro versus Jerry and Matt Sweet in the '76 Nova. Huge cubic inch, naturally aspirated cars. Like Jerry and them setup is like more than 800 cubic inches. This
Yeah,
thing
it's
is
huge.
absolutely huge. It's a Sonny's Hemi, and then you've got a Goodwin setup in Doc's car. This is going to be pretty wild. These guys have both run 780s. Um, Jerry and Matt actually hold the drag week single pass naturally aspirated record, and
Yep.
Doc holds, I don't know, 15 other naturally aspirated records for all of drag and drive. I mean, you can go to any event that he's attended, he's generally won the naturally aspirated class. I mean, probably I can't say for certain, but that's probably true.
Yeah.
This car is proven and is amazing. Jerry and Matt were at Drag Week last year, made it 2 days, so they have some vengeance that they're coming back with. You know,
Right.
that car was thrashed to get together for Drag Week. It's not thrashed to get together this time. They have methodically put some stuff together. It's gonna be really cool to watch that go down.
Jay
And
says someone posted and said they need to race heads up. Best of three. Loser has to build a turbo engine for their car.
yeah, that was our buddy Bryant Goldstone who said that. And
Nice.
what's funny about when he said that is that was Jerry and Matt's plan. They were gonna
Yeah.
go twin turbo in the old big block setup, and then their family was like, "Nah, let's go ahead and push the envelope on this NA stuff." So pretty crazy.
Nice.
We have heard that Ed Enzer and Jimmy Lopez are going to be there, and again, 750 naturally aspirated car, completely different class. Doc and Jerry will be racing in the same class, so they will be racing next to each other. Well, I don't know about next to each other because Doc's car's on a radial and Jerry and Matt are on a slick. So could be interesting, and maybe they won't race next to each other because they won't want to you know basically know each other's time. But I think that
Yeah.
would definitely help push it forward a little bit. Um, the Sweden invasion is happening again. Magnus Frost is here with the Ascona, and then obviously one of our favorite racers, Stefan, is back with the Corvette. Second place last year, second overall for the entire year with what he did at Sick Week. So
Right.
I know that car has more power. Can it go faster? Can it go as fast as the Ascona? I don't know. It's going to be really fun to watch these two race right here all week and end up whoever's taking the bragging rights back to Sweden. For the folks that are in Sweden, we need a Swedish we need a trophy for the fastest guy in the U.S. that
There
takes
you
your
go.
trophy back to Sweden. So pretty fun. And then I'm excited about this. There's been one post by one person that said that John Huber is coming. And guys, this is exciting because this guy last time he raced was Drag Week 2017. This
Wow.
is one of the fastest, like an 8-second 2.3 liter 4-cylinder Mustang.
What?
Yeah, so the reason I'm excited about this is because he's been on Drag Week like 10 times. The last time he attended Drag Week was 2017. Yeah. Ed here saying Huber is an OG. That is true. 10. And the last time he attended was 2017. So he's been to like all of them, essentially.
That's
Right.
wild.
At one point, he had, I don't want to say the worst completion rate, but he's 3 for 9 of his last events, right? So this dude can make things happen. I'm telling you, he can get stuff going. He's been away for a little while, but guys, this car, literally, this car was one of the cars that pushed us over the edge on Steven, my brother, building that 2.3 liter for his MG. So
Yeah.
this car here laid the groundwork for a lot of that, and a lot of the research I did came from what this guy did in this car. So pretty crazy setup. I'm excited to watch this thing, and from all the pictures you see of this car, it leaves hard, big wheelies, all that kind of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun to watch. And then don't hate me for my artwork because this is very bad, but oh no, oh dude, I forgot. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I forgot to put it in the slides. So here's the deal. There are at least 12, but possibly 15 race cars that are 6-second capable coming to Sick Week.
That
You hear
is
me?
wild.
Did you hear me? Dude,
Yeah.
Magnus Frost, Tom McGilton's coming down almost 3,000 wheel horsepower in the Why Not Camaro. That car's been down for almost 2 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You
I
know that
haven't
dude's
seen it.
coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was cool to see his old car that he used to race out last year. That was pretty neat. The hot rod. You got Dave Schroeder, John Innes in the old Corvette. That's going to be kind of cool. And then Josh Davis and Devin Vanderhoof's Mustang. I guess they haven't sold it yet, so they're coming down. They're coming down to slap people around. I'm telling you, that car's going to be nuts. Alex Taylor's going to be there. We know that car is 6-second capable. 703 out of the trailer the other day. I think they made like one pass and went 703 and was down like 30 miles an hour or something like that from
Wow.
what Dennis's post was. Steve Morris is coming. Bryant Goldstone, our boy, Dragon Drive World Champion, first ever. Then you got Nick Taylor. I haven't seen him post anything about Uncle Sam, but last time he had Uncle Sam out, it was a low set. Like he was like 710 average
Mhm.
and went like 701 or 703 at 200 plus in Uncle Sam. So if he got that car done, he hasn't been posting about it, which that could be Nick to a T. And then you got Tom Bailey. I don't know if he's bringing the Durango because I'll watch one video. He'll talk about the Durango. Then I'll see him working on like Jason Sachs' car. And then I'll see him working on 1.0 or 2.0. So I don't know. I try and watch as many of his videos as I can to kind of get that sneak peek, but I haven't gotten the lay of the law there yet. If he comes in the Durango, I don't think it's capable of that, based on what we've seen in the past. But that is very, very fast. But I mean, that's still sevens. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then Stefan Gustafson, Cletus in mullet. I've heard that. Um, yeah. So Derek Putnam here says Nick cracked a 698. That is right. Day 4. He was at South Georgia, I think, when he did that. Cletus and Mullet, we heard that. We know Ruby's coming back, but looking for they're going to run an 850 class, but we've also heard that it's Leroy's old setup, so that car can go really fast. Brett Lasala is coming back in the Snot Rocket 2.0. And then thank you, Derek Putnam, for writing this the other day. Snot Rocket 1.0 is coming as well. So those two cars, identical colors, identical car, going to be parked next to each other, going to be really cool looking. And then Sean Fink is down there testing right now in the gorgeous orange and gray colored 55 or 56, whatever it is. Awesome. And then, guys, I don't know if you heard this or not. Jeff Lutz is coming. Jeff
Yep.
Lutz will be here.
A-
I'm a little excited about that. Just a little.
And it's not black anymore.
Yeah, it's not black. This car obviously currently holds the fastest ET average in any drag and drive event ever to be held with a 619 and has held it since 2016. This will be one of the only times he has. I guess this is the only event that hasn't been drag week that he's competed in.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty crazy because I think 2016 or maybe 2017 was the last year he competed, and you know, I mean, just laid it out big time. So 619, that record has stood. So guys, we're looking at the possibility that really this could be the fastest lineup of cars we've ever seen. I think I said that last year when there were like 9 6-second capable cars, and
Yeah.
now a minimum of 12, maybe 15. So it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be absolutely wild to see what all comes from that.
Yeah. I'm disappointed I won't be there to see it in person, so I'm expecting lots of pictures and videos from you.
Yeah, certainly. So let's talk about that for just a second. The plan is as normal. Eric will be at home editing photos that I take with my cell phone during the day. iPhone photo photographer there. We are purchasing some photos from Chris Story, so there will be some great photos taken during the week of some class leaders and the stories that develop along the week. So we're working that out with him on the hardest part for those guys. They're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what the story is yet. I don't know what we need to cover. I don't know if I want to, if we want to talk about the DYO class, pro DYO. Well, I don't know yet. So we're working on all of that stuff. Um, I'm excited to see all that. But Eric will be at home. I would figure we're going to do a daily album, right?
Yeah,
So
that's typically what we've
yep.
done.
So it should be pretty easy. Typically, I will post those, or Eric will post those up late that evening, or the next morning or something like that. As soon as he can get to them, we're thankful that he does this for us while at home, and it helps a bunch because then it gives us a lot better picture than just my stuff that's posted from my phone. So excited about that. I intend to do a daily video recap. One of the cool things is I'll be riding with the guys at the Summit truck, so I'll be able to do, you know, I'll have Tommy kind of maybe help me at the end of the day, a couple days a week, to kind of give a recap and talk about all the racing and things like that. We will be live next Wednesday night from the event, so we'll be on site somewhere or at the hotel or whatever. But we're going to be on talking about kind of the standings throughout the week, the stories that are coming, and all the
Yep.
fun stuff from there. So it's going to be pretty
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah. Being live at the event's always a good time.
Oh yeah, and I understand it's 8 o'clock at night, but that's the way it goes. And then I will be going live throughout the day. Typically, like if I end up at a route stop with everybody, I'll go live and kind of do a walk around. I wish I was getting there earlier. There's no flight that gets me there that morning for tech. So hopefully it will rain early and they push back tech. But I don't want it to rain on anybody's race car. So, anyways, back to stuff here. We've got. I'm excited about Jimmy Dale coming. Mr. Tom Gunner is going to be down there. That's going to be fun. Again, introducing more and more people to the drag and drive community. He's been obviously around drag racing for a long time. And then Matt Rice is coming back. We talked to him at PRI at one of the after parties. That was a blast. He's like, I want to do this stuff. Well, he's doing it now. So it's going to be kind of cool. And then, Billy Hoskins, Billy the Kid, is going to be down there racing a car as well. So we're starting to see a lot more of this racer come into the drag and drive community. And again, for these guys, it's almost like I would think a vacation.
Yeah.
They run their race cars all out 20 times a year. Now they get to come to a drag and drive event and just hang out, make a couple passes a day, have some fun, do a bunch of driving, and it's going to be fun to watch those guys in the next 4 or 5 years and what that happens. Like, how do we move forward and keep all that going? All right. So I'm excited about those guys being there. And then obviously Sick Week is going to be the first event that kicks off the point series for the Drag and Drive World Championship presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, I'm excited to do this again. Again, this will be awarded at the PRI show during the Drag and Drive Awards. We had a blast last year. We're gonna have a blast this year doing it as well, guys. I need one favor from you guys, real quick. Will you guys hit that share button for us? We've got two more things to talk about here, and then we are bringing on Mr. Mike Galimi. While I get a water here, will you run us through that next topic there, the Sick Week live stream stuff?
Yep, yep. So Sick Week is going to be live streamed. It's going to be game changing. It's going to be on Freedom Plus, and they've got a ton of stuff planned. They've talked about a car with camera mounted on the hood for the drives, multiple cameras at the track, the big huge screen in the pits. I think it was 8 different camera angles. Again, rolling shots, camera at the route stops, and a bunch more planned. So for me, not being there, this is probably the best year because it sounds like I'll be able to see just about
Yep.
everything live stream. So
Yep.
subscribers to Sick the Mag will get a code to watch the event on the 26th. So in 2 days, you'll receive a code if you are a subscriber to Sick the Magazine.
Yep. And then also Freedom Plus, all the folks that are subscribed to that, you'll get that as well. All right. So I'm excited about that. Again, I've said it before. Those are going to be That's going to change the game. It
Yes.
really is going to change. It will help bring more sponsors into the community. It will help bring more cars, help bring more people. And the current plan, because I keep hearing a lot of people complain a little bit that it's not right to YouTube, but from what I understand, the plan is to, I would think, probably cut down some of the content. If there's any dead time, they'll cut that out. And then they're going to post that to YouTube anyway. So maybe it's a day late, maybe it's 2 days late, maybe it's a month late, but people are still going to be able to watch that when it hits YouTube and do that for free. The
Yeah.
other way
And
around that is to show up at the event.
yeah, and I think it was, if I remember right, 9.99 for the event
Yep.
through Freedom Plus.
Yep. And so
So
that's kind of cool. And it gives you another reason to to buy Freedom Plus and help out, our boy Cletus. So all right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. We discussed last week about, or Saturday, we talked about this earlier in the show too. Could a slow car drag and drive event survive? Well, we had this plan the whole time, and as crazy as the slow car went, I would think everybody's probably on board with this because fast cars are what everybody said they went to watch. So my question is, can this work? How do you put together an 899 or faster drag and drive event, but not make it $1,000 a person?
Yeah.
Because you know 1,200 people of 1,400 are 10-0 and slower. Well, dude, that only leaves like 250 racers to participate in this fast car drag and drive event. So again, how do you do this? These are the questions that we want to ask. So, limit it to 899 and faster. That way it is literally the fastest ones. I think you said it at the quickest tracks in the country. Whoever's running the best, that's where you go. Obviously, you need to know that. So I always think of like World Ford Challenge, or not World Ford Challenge, World Cup Finals,
Yep.
or Bradenton or Orlando. How do you do that? The best track prep. I think you probably do one slick lane, one radial lane. I think it's just dedicated to that, and then set it up in the best air of the season. Like
Yeah.
this is the time that people are going to be laid out. um, 6 second through 950 cars account for 167 cars of the 2023 National Drag and Drive events. So there's not very many
Yeah.
that are
And that
doing
was
that.
out of how many?
1,400 that
Yeah.
finished the Drag and Drive event. So
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 just
not
over
very many.
yeah, just over 10%.
Yep. So my notes here are, would more fans come out? Probably. Would the spectator count cover the cost of having fewer cars? Because
Possibly.
you know people are going to come to watch this big stuff. And then obviously my mind went to, could this be the finals for the Drag and Drive World Champion Point Series? Could you place this in late October, early November, and it be really, it just really lay out the fastest of the fast. This is where people are going to go to do this and run their best passes ever.
Yeah.
So, again, congratulations to Sick. It was funny, and I didn't put the picture in here. I meant to have a spot for it, but they posted, the fastest car deal. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah. What could be interesting is we've done exhibitions with NHRA. Could this be part of an NHRA event?
Maybe.
Kind of like they did at Route 66, and then the 860 index shootout. Could it
Hmm.
be could it be a part of something like that?
Right. It could. And again, they say here in the things in this post, uh, oh, what you do in 2024 will matter, which tells me that the fast cars are going to get this, like the fast cars are getting. I would think the only way to do this is to do an invite. So I was
Yeah,
talking to Brandon Parker kind of back and forth about this the other day, and what I think would be cool is the 32 fastest racers. You go. Let's keep it to 3 days. So you do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday and Saturday are drive days, or no, you need to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you need to do 3 days to lock in your fastest 16. Okay, so you have start with 32, your fastest 16, then Sunday is a race day. But I think you do one thing that's a little different. You stay at the same track. So all the data that those guys get is at the same track each day. So I think that
interesting.
could help may go, instead of trying to figure out a whole new track every day, you go to the same track and you just go a different direction for your 150 or 200 miles a day. So this should be pretty interesting to see what Sick has coming up. It's funny that we had these notes and then this post was made yesterday. So we had a good laugh about that. And
Yeah.
this is really cool, man. I'm excited. So
Yeah, we got
officially,
a good comment here too from Andrea S123. Can fast car event be the same event as the slow car event? Slow cars start at track A, fast cars start at track B, have them run route in opposite directions and use the same checkpoints.
ooh, man, that sounds like a logistical nightmare. But I like where your head's at. That's and then they all meet at the same spot at the end of the week. Um, Matt at Rocky Mountain had talked about doing something similar to that
Yeah,
for
and
their 10th anniversary, maybe 2026. I can't remember, something like that, or
it, ki-
2025, I think.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of something like I think it was the Australian event where they did like a morning and afternoon, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
one group went out and did their drive while one raced, and then they switched.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
kind of a
So
similar concept there.
yeah, I'm kind of excited about this, and we're going to talk about this stuff kind of with Mike here in just a minute as well. So, congrats to the entire SICK team. You're reading the minds of what people want. So, pretty cool stuff there. Let me get this removed here. All right.
Well, you said about an hour, and we're right at an hour, huh?
Man, listen, it was pretty tough. Um, so I do want to talk to Mike here. I want to bring him on here in just a second. Again, I tried to listen to some podcasts of his, guys. You can go to your favorite podcast app and type in Mike Galimi, Galimi, and I don't know, he's really done a lot of stuff. The problem with some of the podcasts is what we run into here sometimes. We typically don't tell the whole story. Well, this is why we really only set up with one guest tonight. After we had Lonnie on earlier, but that was kind of a breaking news, interesting deal, and he was on for 10 minutes. So I want Mike to be able to tell some, he's a big deal,
Yeah.
and he has the opportunity to really kind of influence a lot of what we do now with drag racing and drag week and drag and drive stuff. And so I want to know how he got there. The one cool thing about getting to spend the hour we're going to spend with him tonight is that you guys can ask questions in the chat about stuff, but then there's rarely a moment at an event that him and I would be at, or him and Eric would be at, that we would actually get an hour with him. So I really want to get some backstory. I want to find out how he got to where he's at now, but I want to find out first off, what is his like, we got to know what he drives every day. So let's bring him on, have him introduce himself. Mr. Mike Galimi, how are you, sir?
Good, and how are you guys doing?
Man, I'm
Good.
excited for you to be on here, dude. This is going to be a great time. It's a lot of
Well, I
fun. I
appreciate you guys
appreciate you
inviting me.
doing this. Oh, dude, are you kidding me? We sometimes I feel, it's kind of like imposter syndrome, man. I'm like, man, are we cool enough to have somebody cool on the show? So, you don't ever get that unless you shoot your shot, right?
Jay's already trying to find out about drag week tracks.
Yep.
There,
Leave it
We
to
are
Jay.
we are going to talk about Drag Week
we'll talk
2025
about it. Yeah.
in just a little bit. There are some fun stuff. So kind of introduce yourself. What your current job title is, and then I do want to talk. Like, we'll kind of lead up to what got you in the spot you're in now. So let's not go to too much history.
All right. So, I work for Hot Rod Magazine, and it's officially it's the network director position, which is essentially editorial director.
Nice,
And yeah, so it's just everything content wise that runs through Hot Rod comes, through this desk.
dude. That is, I can't imagine the amount of work that is and the amount of reading that goes on in that, and making sure that stuff is right. And I'm sure you've been doing this long enough. You know who you can trust, who's kind of on the bubble, and so that I'm sure that helps a lot too.
Yeah, it's when you get a great staff, it helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's the company's really big, so there's a production group that helps with a lot of the proofreading, and then McGann and all those guys,
Hmm.
KJ, everyone. It's just everyone's a seasoned vet. Every
Yeah.
person on staff is run a magazine, large magazines. I think that's a unique aspect that we have.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, let's go way back. Let's not talk about how far back this is. But is 11-year-old Mike a car guy?
Yeah, always, always.
That's cool.
You know, grew up with two older brothers, not much older. We're kind of all in the same range, but yeah, always in the cars. BMX bikes, all that stuff, RC cars, and then eventually big cars.
That's awesome.
All right. So, what was your first car you had?
1990 Mustang LX 50 hatchback.
Wow.
Still have it.
Really?
Really?
Still have it.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
that's
That's
kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Just again, right time, right place, right age. The
Yeah.
the 5-liter Mustang at the time was taken off, and my oldest brother had an '84 Z28, and then the my middle brother, he is he got a notchback,
Oh yeah.
and that kind of says like, well, no, it's like Anthony has that. Dominic has this. I think I like this one better, and then just kind of, going out to the street races and all that.
Yeah.
Mustang was king at the time.
Oh, dude, still is, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and it never got dethroned.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, over the years, I'm sure you've probably had a bunch of project cars. What has kind of been your favorite thing that you've driven in your driving career?
Oh man, I think everything's unique. I don't know, a lot of good stuff over the years. I don't think I could pick one.
Oh my gosh. Well, what about your current project? Is your first car also your current project car?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Mhm.
Some stuff's been kind of out there. Mike Javanis, who I've worked with on his car with a lot of through a lot of the different magazines I've been with. Um, it's like too nice to cut up at this point.
Ah,
And 25.5, and it was like, okay, I had a car with a 25.3 in it, just sitting. And it was like, all right, like that's the car. Everything we want to do to yours that we can't do, we're gonna do to that one. And that's
nice.
kind of where we're at now. So it's a big, DeSoma engine. Um, Everything that we learned on Mike's car is in this one, except everything bigger, racier, and built
Nice.
for obviously drag week and
Yeah,
true street stuff.
that's
Nice.
awesome.
What about daily driver? What do you have for a daily?
Just picked up a Bronco Wild Track.
What does that mean?
Nice.
Is that like
It's
a
like
one of the
a
top
step
off
down from the
Broncos?
Raptor.
Oh yes, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, not quite a Raptor, but not too bad. It's a fun
that's
little
cool.
little truck. Yep.
Well, let's talk about your automotive career. I know there's a lot of folks that watch this stuff and follow us. I mean, obviously, you kind of live the dream for a lot of us guys that are out here doing this. Kind of walk us through how you get to where you're at.
Long, strange journey. Obviously, been into the car thing, since I had a license.
Yeah,
And growing up on the Mustang scene and really the Mustang shootouts at Englishtown and the early days of that whole movement, and met a lot of people. One of them was Dr. Jamie Meyer. You guys might remember him
yeah.
from PRI. He's over at
Ran
Aeromotive at Roasted
PRI. Yeah.
Shop. Yeah. And so Jamie's kind of the one I started talking to. He was writing a newsletter for Fun Forward. This is, all early days of message forums. And we started chatting, and World 4 Challenge happens in '98. And James Lawrence and Steve Wolcott, at the time we're at 50 Mustang magazine, they decide, like, there's something here. We're going to start a new business.
Mm,
And that's when they started the NMRA. And Jamie got in on the front side of that with those guys and said, hey, I got these friends. They're starting a new magazine, a racing deal, a racing series. Would you want to contribute to it? And just like that, just like, yeah, that sounds kind of fun.
yeah.
I graduated college. I was working, on Wall Street as a stock analyst, and kind of boring job. And it's like, sure, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And just kicked off from there. And it just got, more and more and more. I guess that was December '98. So we started writing, started, the first issue of Race Pages. And yeah, I did that for a couple years. And then, after September 11th, you kind of just kind of look at like, yeah, my job kind of, I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
I
going
think
on
you
in my
could, I
life
think,
here?
yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I had all this other freelance work, and they had downsizing the company I was at. And they put together a package, and I was like, you know what? I really don't like it here. So I took the
Yeah.
package, walked away, and kind of, self-taught photography, started writing for anybody that would give me an opportunity to contribute freelance. And, by the time, the severance wore out, I'd been writing stuff for Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards, a magazine I grew up with. Jim Campzano over there was like, hey, we got a position here in Jersey. Would you, I lived in New York, and it's like, would you want in? I was like, yeah, sure. And
That's
just kind of,
awesome.
kind of, kind of, kind of work there, through 2009 when they moved to Florida. And my wife, we were engaged to get married later that year. And she's a teacher here with a great job here. And it was like, nah, both our families are up here, so we didn't make the move. And
Yeah.
I went back to freelance for a little bit before ending up at Pro Media.
Dude, that's awesome. So walk us through a little bit of pro media because that was a big span of your, adult life.
Yeah, so I believe it was October 2012. I got I'd always worked with those guys and obviously knew them from the beginning, and they wanted to make some changes in their media group, and if I'd be interested in coming in and kind of working
Mhm.
with that, and walked into that program, and I don't think I thought I would stay it for as long as I did. I stayed for, I guess, almost 10 years,
Wow.
9.5 years, and kind of through a lot of iterations of that company, and each step of the way had an opportunity to kind of you know express some of my opinions and have those
Yeah.
implemented to programs they ran. So it was a good run. We had a lot of fun, and yeah. So just this
So
this opportunity came up, and I just couldn't turn it down.
right, and so during that time while you were with Pro Media, part of that was, like NMCA stuff too, right? Like you
Yeah.
were
So
heavily
Pro
involved with
Media,
all that.
yeah, Pro Media owns NMRA and NMCA,
Oh, gotcha, okay.
and they do Fastest Street Car Magazine. They own both those racing series and the magazine stuff.
Awesome. So I can only imagine that sets you up for I guess probably, Eric's next question here. I'll let you ask him, Eric.
So, what was it like to get that phone call from Hot Rod Magazine with them wanting you to come work for them?
Um, it was a process. Freiberger and I have been friends for a really long time. We now we just text practically every day, but for the most part, we always chatted very often. Several times a week.
That's awesome.
Um, and it was one night I remember just sitting on the couch watching TV, and he just sends a text and is like, "Hey, just want to throw this out there. The guy who had the position before me, he's left the company. Is this something you'd be interested in?"
So,
And I'm like,
uh,
"Oh, okay." I'm kind of like, it's like late at night. I'm kind of decompressing, and it's like, let me think about that.
yeah.
And that, like, at the time, it's coming up on 2 years ago. The company a few years prior had gone through a big changes.
Mhm.
And I had been there once before, and so it was like, do I want to go back? And what there were more questions I had, I think, than just like yes. Like you want to
Right.
say yes, and so I called up two really good friends of mine, just to be like, am I crazy? Because I want to go, like I'm interested, not
Yeah.
not that, it wasn't a job offer. It was just, hey, would you be interested and start the process?
Yeah.
And so these two guys, um, like always, were like, yeah, you're crazy not to at least explore it. So I hit David back, and I'm like, yeah, man, let's see where this goes. So he put me together with the head of editorial at Motor Trend, which is where Hot Rod falls under. And you know, gosh, maybe it took about a month for us to get together. And I remember I was away with the family in Florida, sitting on the beach, and the kids are playing in the water, and I hate the beach. And and I see the phone. I'd been scrolling through my phone, and this phone number from Los Angeles comes up, and I'm like, oh shit, this is the one I've been waiting for. And
Yeah.
it was, I sacrificed life and limb to take that phone call. The battery was dying on my phone. I walked through a parking lot barefoot, blisters on my feet, and the guy Ed's like, he's like, do you want to like talk at another time? I'm like, no, well, let's just
No,
chat
no, what do you
away. And
mean? I'm good. Well, I
yeah,
got go this is great, man. This is great. It's a
yeah.
good time.
So I get back to the condo, plug in the phone, and it's just like, oh, my feet are burnt. I'm in pain. And it's just asking him a lot of questions. He had a lot of
Yeah.
questions for me. I had a lot of questions for him. We did that a few more times before it was like, okay, I did my homework, he did his homework, and I was like, all right, let's formalize it. They had
Yeah.
posted the job. I officially, submit resume,
Mhm.
the whole routine, and then then it went from there.
How
More
cool,
rounds of
man.
interviews, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was a while. I mean, like I said, I think there were a lot of questions for both of us. Where's the brand going? What's the commitment for the company? Why should I leave what is essentially a stable job and
Mhm.
something I enjoy? Why should I go? And
Yeah.
it just worked out.
That's
That's really
awesome.
cool. Yep. Well, tell us a little bit about like what the magazine's making a change. You're going to quarterly magazines. I'm
Hmm.
I'm kind of excited about this to have what I would consider is probably going to be a a thick magazine, a couple 150, 200 pages? Am I crazy to think?
I think initially the package size that you're hoping for is just a little bit big.
Yep.
The business has changed quite a bit,
Hmm.
and as it's really just a business decision.
Yeah.
That it's not going to be that big, but it's going to be better paper, better
Oh,
quality,
cool.
better layout. Everything is it's going to be different, right? And
Yeah.
people consume print magazines differently, and that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, and I think, SICK has done a great job with their quarterly stuff. I think it really kind of gives you a reason to keep picking that up. I'm excited to see there'll be more stories, I think, in this. Like you'll be able to get more done to a car in the time frame that you have to be able to write, a certain or a
Yeah,
bill or something like that. So I think
you
that'll
can.
be cool.
Yeah. We've been planning it out. Like you said, the long lead time into each issue makes it a lot better. A lot of concentration on photography, right? Like Wes Allison, super high level, Kevin
Yeah.
Diossi, Andrew Link, all these amazing shooters, that we're hiring, and
Yeah.
spending a lot of money on the quality that. So when you read it and look at it, and a feature story is normally 5, maybe 6 pages. 8 and 10 page features, big spreads. And just that experience that
Yeah.
you're visually is going to be fantastic.
That's cool. When should we expect to kind of start seeing that? When's the shelf date, I guess?
So I believe it's March it ships.
Ooh, sweet. Cool.
Yeah. So
I'm just
we're
saying that's
wrapping
my
it up.
birthday. That'll be perfect timing.
There you go. Yeah. So we're wrapping up this first issue, and I've got 2 covers to we have to make a decision on.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
you know,
That's a hard
before it
life.
was before it was easier where you could, I don't want to say fly under the radar, but
Mhm.
you know, now with so much attention on, being quarterly, it's like everybody's on a phone call. And it's just like,
I
okay,
I can
now,
only imagine. And,
so
this
it's,
the first one coming out will be a big deal. It's
yeah,
gonna be a big thing. That's cool.
yeah. And, we have an opportunity to kind of reset, how we do print, and, and what we do on this issue, it may be by the end of the year different,
Yeah,
and we may say, okay, well, let's try this format instead. But,
yeah,
we've looked at a lot, throughout the whole market. Like Wheel Hub Magazine does a fantastic job. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those guys.
Mhm.
Just really, just same thing, just, big, beautiful features, great photography. And that's kind of the angle we're going at. And,
yeah,
that's where I think the magazine business has been for a while. And these guys, and that was part of the plan coming in, right? It
yeah,
was, what does print look like in a year, 2 years, 5 years? And so those were a lot of the questions on that interview or pre-interview process that,
yeah.
that we had to answer.
So, talking about print stuff, obviously, what about digital? Like, are you involved in the digital side of stuff too? Is that
Oh,
part of
yeah,
your job?
100%. Digital is a monster. I mean,
It's
it's
the dog that
like
doesn't sleep.
it's almost incredible on how big it was this year. I think we
Mhm.
were up 16 or 17% on traffic,
Wow, that's awesome.
and it's over 20 million unique visitors a year. I mean, it's massive.
Golly,
I mean, it's
that's
it's
crazy.
it's like I knew it was big coming in. I didn't realize that,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah, that's
um,
cool.
and that's just on the hot rod section.
Yeah.
So it's a beast. The digital is by far head and shoulders, above, the other stuff that we do in terms of just volume and just business line.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to you can tell so many stories and it not
Right.
take, I would only imagine, like I worked in print for a Walmart vendor for a while. Like the signage would take a long time. I can't imagine what it takes to print, I don't know, a couple million magazines, or several million magazines, to get those out, and the timeline, the lead times, and you have to get this to
Uh,
me or it's not gonna make it, and then I need to figure out another 3 pages of the magazine.
again, it goes back to just being on a staff that,
Yeah,
like we're all seasoned. Like this is what we do, and this
that's
is what
awesome.
we've all done for all of our careers. I'm actually one of the younger guys on staff.
Cool.
So, there's, again, there's 6 of us, and every one of us has run a magazine, run, complete departments or groups of magazines. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Well, let's talk about the sign that's over your right shoulder there is burnout. And so, this you in the messages the other day you were talking to is said it's kind of like a COVID deal, but I've been looking. Was it a podcast? Was it a TV show? How do I find it? What was it? And tell
It
me more,
it
man.
was it was through the old Speed video,
Okay.
and um and it was through COVID, right? And it was a
Yeah.
time where there weren't any drag races going on. They needed content, and they put us together, myself, Alex Taylor, and Wes Buck.
Cool.
It predates Wes doing his own show,
Yeah.
and it was neat. Man, I can't remember. I don't know if we did 10 or 12 episodes
Oh,
weekly,
sweet. Okay. Yeah. All right.
it was unique. It was fun. We had some great guests on there. We had a good time with it.
Yeah. So was it sort of? I mean, was it like an interview style show, or was it?
Yeah,
Were you
it
really?
was
Or, yeah.
just like you guys are doing here. It would be the three of us
Nice.
talking, you know, talking general stuff in the beginning, and then we'd bring in a
Yeah.
guest.
No, that's awesome. Well, cool. Well, I'll have to do some more digging. It sounds like fun. I'm a huge consumer of podcasts. There's so much time that I spend during the day that I can have an earbud in and either be working on this stuff or doing whatever, or driving.
Well,
And it's been the big
ho-
thing,
hopefully you're listening to the Hot Rod Pod Where It All Began podcast that
dude.
we launched
Are you
Yeah.
kidding
5 or
me,
6 weeks
bro?
ago.
Man, I love it. It really is good. Obviously, Loans is great. John is
Yeah.
great. Those guys are awesome. But the guests and the format you guys have lined up has been awesome. PRI and SEMA. Uh, I've loved every episode. I really have had a great experience every time. The audio is good, which is always a plus. But then
Mhm.
the guests tell fun stories. And I hope that the SEMA with Lutz is kind of what kicked off maybe his get the Mad Max back in order. I like
it,
to
it
think that kind of stirred that pot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something he's wanted to do for quite a while.
Mhm.
When I first came on Hot Rod, I've known Jeff, long before the TV days. Back when
Yep.
he ran and even NSCA, even before NMCA. So he's always mentioned. When I came on board Hot Rod, he's just like, man, I'd love to do Drag Week. I'd
Yeah.
love to do Drag Week, and it just never worked out.
Yeah.
It's the NPK is a very intense schedule, especially that time of the year.
Yep.
So, it's good to see him get it back out. It looks great in yellow.
Oh
That
man.
was the original. That was the original shade of it. And
Yep.
so yeah, it'll be fun to see what he does.
Yeah.
But that was a great. I mean, all of them have been great episodes. I mean, just sitting
Yes.
there laughing and
Yeah. The
like you said,
Ring
the
Brothers.
format's been great.
Yeah, the Ring Brothers episode was really good. I followed those guys. Those guys build amazing cars. But to hear some of the stories,
Yeah,
it really just shows you like that level of builder is still just a regular dude.
yeah, and to this day that they still talk about it, how much fun they
That,
had.
yeah,
They're putting together a whole bunch of clips to even keep pushing out on social, and they're like, can
that's
we do it
cool.
again? And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been an adventure. Certainly, an area we've needed to add to the lineup of media that we offer.
Oh yeah, and I'm loving it. So can you give us some hints on some guests that are coming up next couple weeks? Are you guys editing those still?
Um,
Who all
yeah,
did you talk to? Who's coming?
we have LP from the Roadster Shop, Aeromotive Group Roadster Shop now.
Nice.
He'll drop on this Friday.
Cool.
And super interesting guy. Comes from the fashion industry, but car guy, and you know, obviously private equity. There's a lot of negative around it, and
Mhm.
I think those guys are doing it differently, um, and he explains a lot
Okay.
of it, and it's
Yeah,
great.
that's good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's gonna be a really great show this Friday. We've got let's see, who else do we have left? Jeff Smith, former editor of Hot Rod, there from the early days of Fast
Yep.
Streetcar. He was a great fun episode. Ida from Top Fuel Champion from Europe.
Oh, yeah.
She sat down with David and Brian down at PRI show.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
sweet.
Uh, let's see who else.
Yeah, I'm excited about her making the trip over. That's gonna be really
Yeah,
fun to watch.
and she talks a lot about that. About I mean, she's raced a 6 second bike.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Top Fuel career. I mean, quite an extensive list of accomplishments. Um, Man, is that it? That might be the end of the road. I think we finished March 1, so it's got to be more than that.
That's
So
cool.
Yeah, so our initial run, finishes March 1st.
That's cool. And then will you guys take a break? Will it kind of continue? I mean, I'm sure you guys are
We're
probably trying to
we're
line up guests, and I think that's
yeah,
going to be one of the coolest things about what you do and what y'all do there is that you can talk to everyone that in the world has the Hot Rod magazine in their hand.
yeah,
So
and that's been a great yeah, it opens a lot of doors for sure, and,
yeah,
and if you listen to like a lot of the first 4 episodes, everyone just talks about what it meant to him. Jeff,
yeah,
Lutz giving us a shout out like, hey, look, if it's not for Hot Rod, I'm not here.
Right.
Right? They really made him, and,
yeah,
and he says it on the show. Eric Ender's growing up reading Hot Rod with her
yeah.
dad.
Oh, that was another
You
great
know,
episode
Ring
too.
Ring Brothers, Bill Ganal, another fantastic.
Yeah, his was a good. Yeah, they've all been
Yeah,
great. Yeah,
yeah.
and you
No,
guys really, you guys do a great job of like skirting it's like there's technical stuff, but it's not too deep.
right. Yeah, and it's
Love's
great
been so
storytelling,
good
right?
at
And
that.
that's yeah, and it's if you look at even the time, right, and it's like, hey, David, I mean, not David, Brian, it's 45 minutes to an hour, right? That's a
Mhm.
sweet spot that you only work with podcast one company on these,
Yeah,
and he hits it every time.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this
he's
this
like Bob
LP one
Barker of
is.
podcasts.
Yeah, it was like in this one with LP, I was just proofing it, the other day, and it's like an hour and like 4 seconds,
Wow.
and it's just yeah, he gets and he's got the right tempo and keeps the conversation moving.
Yeah.
Um, the others we have is Lucky Costa, Troy Ladd, from
Mm.
Hollywood Hot Rods. I don't know if you
Oh,
guys have
yeah.
heard of him. Long time,
Yeah.
amazing builder,
Yeah.
and Steve Pasmani, who has a shop out in California, but also a TV show on the History Channel.
Hmm.
So those guys will round out the rest of the guests.
That's
Cool.
great. Well, man, I'm excited about that. Anything else we want to talk about with Hot Rod, not Drag Week? Because we're still going to talk about Drag Week in a minute. I promise.
Man, Power Tour has been
Yeah. And you guys
a
did
lot of
Power Tour
meetings.
West?
Yeah, we did West, which is great. A lot of
Mhm.
fun. Short, compact schedule. We're going to expand that to 5 days next year.
Cool.
They're kind of starting the planning phases. It'll be in way out in the fall.
Yeah.
But Power Tour, the main one, East 30th anniversary, and we just sold out long haulers. So
Wow. That's awesome.
platinum package gone in less than 24 hours. Gold package right about 24 hours it lasted, and now long haulers is gone. And we
Wow.
announced it 10, 12 days ago.
Yeah.
It crushed the single day sales record by 50%.
That's
What?
crazy.
That's insane,
It's
dude.
it,
People,
it's it's going to
cars are
be
cool, man.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. It's I think our event team is very concerned. The staffing up, but it'll be good. I mean, it's 30th anniversary, great area. We're starting at Beach Bend Raceway Park, which is one of my
Mhm.
favorite tracks. And that'll be great. Great town, great atmosphere. I think they even coined the phrase, Hot Rod City. So
Wow.
it's a great kickoff. And then we'll be at Nashville day 2, then head up to the Bourbon Trail in Louisville for day 3, and
Perfect.
up to National Trail Raceway for day 4, and then over to Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park for the finale.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, so we took my old truck and my brother took his big four-wheel drive diesel Dodge truck in 2013 and ran all of the Arkansas stuff. So I need to get back on a power tour, but then I found drag and driving. We all know what happened after that. I went a little
Yeah.
crazy. So, well, let's flip. Let's get to some drag and drive content because I do want to ask you a few things.
Mhm.
Obviously, we talked about the slow car event. In your opinion, could something like limiting ET times, could that work? I guess here's my notes. Could a slow car event really work in your opinion? And then I'm stealing this from Eric, but would a fast car event work in your opinion? But then do you think it takes all of the cars to really make it work? Like if you limited it, would it not do what it should? Am I saying that right? I don't think I'm saying that right, but
No, I think you are. I think it goes down to what's the promoter or the event operator's goals,
yeah,
right? Because if it's you know, at the end of the day, for most places, you have to make money, right? It's a
Yeah.
business at the end of the day too. So I think you have to look at what's the goals, and when you determine that and say, okay, if we're gonna know we're gonna have a light gate or even a halfway decent gate on the front side, the back side for the what you would call the slower cars.
Hmm.
If you're happy with that, why couldn't it work? If the racers are
Yeah.
happy and the promoter's happy, then it works. So I think it really depends on what's the goal and strategy for what you're trying to achieve. Can it work from a financial standpoint? Sure, why not? Heavy back gate for sure. 300 cars is 300 cars. Doesn't matter if they go all in the fives or all in the 15s.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point. It's funny how like um oh man, people were all over the place with this thing. It was like yes or no. There was very few people that were like, "Sure," but it was like, "No, that would suck." And it was like, "Yes, that would be great." Like, what the heck, you know? So,
I think for every enthusiast, it's also different, right?
yeah.
Slower cars is definitely more relatable to a wider range of folks. You know, from a hot rod perspective, officially, I like how we have a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
And I think it it shows just the diversity of our readership, right? There's the people who
Yeah.
do like to be entertained, but there's also like, hey, how did you run 12-0,
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah.
and that ingenuity and that fun, that's the essence of hot rodding, right? Personalization of your
Yeah.
car, and if you know if you give everybody a place to race, it's not a bad thing either.
Yeah. I think that's probably at the end of the day, that's the right answer. That's why I don't know. It's just crazy. Anyways, all right, Eric, lead on. What do you got?
What's your thoughts on the boom and the regional style events we went from Drag Week in 2015 and 2016, one guy's garage, and now there's 18 or more regional style events.
I think it's great, right? Not everybody can take the time to do a whole week, or maybe geographically it's too far for them to travel, compete, and then head back home. So I I've been in drag racing a long time, so and I think it applies to not just drag and drive stuff, but you've seen it in like an X275. There's a point where it just gets oversaturated,
Mhm.
um, and you just got to keep an eye on that. But
Yeah.
obviously, the more the better, as long as that oversaturation doesn't come into the picture. And you'll start to see that in, reduced car counts, because then there's just not enough cars to
Hmm.
fill it out. Or there's no urgency, right? Like, oh, if I miss this
We
weekend, no big deal. I can go next weekend, right? So
Yep.
you have
We
to
did see that a
maintain
little
that
bit this
urgency.
last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You have
did.
to maintain the urgency and the demand.
Yep.
And, piling it all in, is not always a good thing.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
think
we
we've
we
done.
saw
Oh,
that quite a bit with September because September was so crazy.
Hmm.
So many events were hosted in September. It's gonna be like that in June this year as well.
yeah, I
Right.
think for the most part we've done pretty good at keeping car counts up. Some of the newer events, maybe those ones, the first event sometimes are lower, but otherwise, I feel like car counts have been still pretty good. But there has been a lot of talk about, are we coming up on oversaturating? If we end up with 50 plus events this year, is that gonna oversaturate it? Or if we keep them spread out far enough across the country, are we able to continue doing 50 events without oversaturating it?
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's hard to predict where the market's going to go. But, uh, but yeah, I mean, you got to keep an eye on it. As a
Yeah.
promoter, that people have to be aware of everyone else. You just can't blindly say, "Ah, I'm going to put my event here."
Right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just can't work that way.
Yeah, that has been something like, because we run our own regional event. So it's like, how do we how do we time our event to where we're not in the middle of somebody else's stuff? And
Hmm.
then also, try and lock in. So like this year we were moved back a week, which ended up kind of hurting another event because they were on the weekend we were on. That's
Yeah.
kind of in the Midwest, it's an Iowa based event. But we got our date first, and we're kind of as a regional event, you're kind of locked in with when the track can give it to you, when
Yeah.
you're open to doing it from them. So we're
I
seeing that with
think that's Yeah, and we saw that with NMCA and NMRA quite a bit, right? There's 52 weekends in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Remove holidays, remove the track schedules. And it quickly becomes a very narrow window to fit certain events. The drag and drive stuff may be a little bit easier to schedule just because they're weekdays, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So the tracks aren't as busy, but yeah, you still have to be aware of what else is out there in the market, and
Yep.
you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, if you do it wrong.
Yep.
I think Jay had just said about the sellout times,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I don't think I would classify our event is not selling out as quick. We had a tech issue where it double entered a bunch of people, like quite a few. And
Oh.
by the time, our event folks, Betsy was in there, refunding and opening that slot again. And
Mm.
so I think that slowed that down, So from our perspective, I didn't see it last year. We'll see what this year brings.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that's stuff, Jay, you're right. I mean, you have to keep an eye on that sort of thing.
Yep. And it's going to be really fun to see how people progress. Again, Sick Week talking about a fastest event, and
Yep.
Six Summer and this Route 66 deal, where they're going to run from, Springfield to New Mexico. That's going to be fun. Drag Week, we're going to talk about it in a minute, I promise. But the cool thing about it is that it has been going on for so long now that it truly is, in air quotes, the OG. I mean, it really is what kicked all of this entire stuff off. And I can't imagine the letters, the emails, the DMs that you guys see on that side just talking about that. And of course, from guys like us that are like, when is it? When is it? When is it? And then what tracks, what tracks, what tracks, what hotels, what hotels, what hotels, So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to back up because I want to talk about some of your drag week history because you said in one interview that 2016 was the first year you attended, but you were a co-pilot then. Have you raced? What all went from there?
So, yeah, so in 2016, I did it with Mike Gervanis, good buddy, Blue Mustang LX. We had worked on so many things over the years together, and so I had the kind of job. It's like, hey, can you take a week off and go do this? And it's like, yeah, sure. I'd always wanted to do it. I got snubbed on it in the first one. A very sore subject. I'm still angry at the time the sales director or business manager for Muscle Mustangs. I mean, this is '05, and I'm still bitter.
Yeah.
I had I don't know if you guys remember Justin Bertram, JPC Racing. You guys know him? So he was on the first one with his '05 Mustang, with a Pro Charger on it. I'm pretty sure it was the first one, and I had it lined up that I was going to be his co-driver on this thing. And
Oh,
Justin's a
nice.
maniac. I mean, absolute maniac. The guy is super hardcore. At that point, he and I were working together on all the 3-valve Mustang stuff and just really laying the groundwork in that market and pushing that platform hard. And so I was set to go. And at that time, it was just before the recession, and ink and paper had hit the print industry a lot harder and earlier than other industries. So you know, ink and paper is the most expensive part of a print publication. So they're like, oh, we got to start cutting budgets.
Mm.
And my boss at the time is like, hey, Bruce said that you can't go to drag week.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, absolutely crushed. I called Justin. I'm like, dude, I'm out. And at the time, 50 Mustang magazine, was in the same group as us.
Right.
Mike Johnson, is talking to Justin Bertram, and Justin's like, "Oh yeah, Galimi can't make it." They pulled the plug on the whole the whole story, and Mike Johnson from 50 Mustang magazine gets to go with him.
No.
And it's just
no.
Rude.
it's like, are you kidding me? Like seriously? So yeah, I mean, I saw Bruce at an MCA race about 3 years ago, and he's like, "Hey man," he's retired now, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm still fucking angry." I'm sorry for the language. I'm still angry.
Talk to
It
me.
just bothers me. It bothers me. But it's a good laugh now. But yeah, so '05 was or '06 was I forget which year was the attempt to go, and then it made 16 I think that much more special.
Yeah.
And Yeah, KJ on here trying to say he won on that one, but by default, KJ, it was
Yeah,
my
nice.
idea, my story idea. But yeah, I mean, 16 was great. We had fun. We got to do it with Alex Corello, Willie Lewan, that whole crew, and
Yep.
all really good friends. Mike
All
finished as
Mustang
third.
guys,
Yeah,
all
the whole crew.
small
Yeah,
Ford
all,
guys, right?
all small block Ford. Yeah. And that was probably the number one question is like, hey man, does this have an LS in it? It's like, no. But it went flawless.
Yeah.
We had one problem with an O2 sensor on Wednesday at Martin, Michigan, and then we had to fix a cracked header that Brian Robbins hooked us up with a chassis shop on our way over there.
Nice.
And but it went as flawless as you can go. I wrote about it in Muscle Mustangs, daily updates every day. Don D'Amato got me pictures that night, and just lack of sleep, but we had a blast. I mean, it was
Yep.
awesome, and sort of like, oh, it's not that hard,
What
Come
are
back in
you guys
27.
complaining
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. Other than lack of sleep, I mean, we had a blast.
Yeah.
2017 crash and burn, man. We didn't even make it out of day two. Hit the road, and that was it. Car's done. And that's on the way back from there was when we kind of started talking about building a new car, and
Yeah.
then it took a couple years to kind of figure it out and put it together, and we're in the middle of it now.
That's cool, man. So, those the 2 years that you've competed, you've
Those
co-piloted?
are 2 years. Yeah, 2 years I was a co-pilot, and then I came back in 19 as a freelancer working with the hot rod team,
Oh,
covering
nice.
it, doing daily coverage, and at the time, they were doing video snippets as well
Mhm.
that went up on social and on the website.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody always asks me, because I raced in the first 2 race weeks, and they're like, "Dude, why don't you race anymore?" I'm like, "You ain't got time, man.
Right.
You can't be in the lane for an hour and a half, 2 hours, make a pass, get back, change the car over, and still get content. You just can't do it. It's impossible."
Yeah, no, it was super busy and 16 doing it, every night, work on the car,
Yeah.
and not that it needed a lot of work, but just the little
Just
things,
check over.
and,
Yeah.
and then crack open the laptop and just start hammering,
Oh, cool.
and collecting the photos and then getting it out to Henry De Los Santos, who was the editor at Muscle Mustangs at the time, get it over to him, and then they would have it posted by the next morning.
Wow.
Um,
So
year
they weren't
two,
getting
it
any sleep
was
either. They weren't getting any sleep either.
no,
Right.
no,
Why does
no.
he
Our
send this at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, our production crew doesn't. Yeah, there's one guy who has to stay up late every night. Getting the stuff on the website for us.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just nature of the beast, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's the moment of now, and you have to suck it up and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we need to build a really cool media vehicle. That way we can still feel like we're participating while
Yeah.
we're going track to track.
Man,
So, if yes, I send text messages to several of our staffers like we need this for the staff, and it's always just a disco van.
dude, all day,
Yeah,
right?
just
I'm like an
there.
85 long Chevrolet van with shag carpet.
Yeah, or something fun, and
Yep.
I saw a limo for sale with a turbo LS. That was like, okay,
Perfect.
that's got hot rod staff written all over it. We could take this on
Yep.
Power Tour. We could take it on Drag Week. It'd be
Yep.
totally pimp. But yeah, I don't think we're getting a staff vehicle like that anytime soon. Our budget's locked up on Project X, and we've got a 55 Ford that we're getting back out, a custom car. So our
How cool,
money's
yeah.
directed towards those.
Right? Chris' story here
So
says that nobody sleeps. That's for sure. And it's funny that 3 a.m. is a normal thing, and then you guys at Drag Week race in the mornings, and so everybody kind of adopts that philosophy, and so it means you're back up at 6 a.m. So, 3 hours of sleep is not how it goes.
yeah, the first time, I think we had it built up in our heads, and I had been, obviously Mike and I have been fans of this since day one, but I had it built up in our heads like, okay, the drag race was the big part
Oh,
mentally, and back then you didn't have the GPS; it was still the paper,
oh yeah.
Right.
I
and it
love
was the
the
line by
paper.
line. It's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
like go 1.2 miles. It's like, well, shit, we don't have
We don't have an
no
odometer.
odometer in here.
Yeah.
We followed someone that day one and got lost. And it was like, okay, we're never following anyone again. We're going to be the lead car. And it was, I just remember dropping pins on my phone and navigating to the
Mhm.
pins, and you kind of do all these little tricks, and it was a lot of fun. But we learned, like, the drive was the grueling part,
Yeah.
and just physically exhausting and mentally exhausting. And then no matter what time we left during the day, we got back at the hotel the same night, at the same
Yeah.
time every night. It was like
Yeah.
between 9 and 10 o'clock at night every night. We could leave at 1 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon,
Mhm.
and you still ended up at the same time. It's like,
Yeah.
how does this happen?
And
Yeah.
even if you get to the hotel at a decent time, you end up hanging out with everybody in the parking
Oh,
lot
yeah.
till 3 a.m. So
Right. Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's kind of go over the car, crack open the laptop, sit, have a bunch of beers as everyone tells
Yep.
stories, and just kind of hammering away on the keypad. And it's a nice routine.
That's awesome.
Christina here says, I remember calling the guys Mike was with and going, hey, you guys went the wrong way, just a heads up.
Yeah. Yep. It's great too, because Alex Corella, who Christie's with, him and Willie were in the car together, and I think those guys yelled at each other, nonstop. Like every time we got out for a break or pit stop or something, they're yelling at each other. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
what's
real
going on
test
over
for a
here?
couple to, Wendy and Lewis Martin do this as a couple, power couple, we call them. And man, I can't imagine. Listen, my wife and I would not do that. We would not do well.
Yeah,
We
Yeah,
are
I agree
same.
great
there.
husband and wife and parents, but we would not do well in this event,
Oh
especially
no,
with
no,
paper
Chris. Yeah,
instructions.
Christy and Alex together is a way calmer pairing than Willie and Alex. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, dude, let's talk about the elephant in the room for a minute.
Okay.
Here's the deal. I will kind of lay this out for everybody. Um, he's gonna tell us what he can. Don't keep pressing a lot of stuff. So, let's talk about Drag Week 2024. We obviously saw some stuff posted a couple weeks ago. Like, dude, this is. I mean, is this technically the 20th anniversary, or are we waiting because of 20? Like, how does this work? What are we looking at, man?
Okay. It is officially the 20th running of Drag Week. Now, in the event business, this is a very sore subject. You are, on one side or the other for this conversation. I'm of 20 years would be next year.
Mhm.
The 20th, it's the actual 20th running. Now, 2020, obviously there isn't one, and Lonnie Grimm is the one that I couldn't dispute. And I thought I had a good I thought I had a good line against them. And he's like, look, he's like, it was scheduled, it was supposed to happen, and it gets
Yep.
treated like a rain out. He's like, when you have a rain
Okay.
out in the event business, you don't redo that year, you just move on.
Fair
I was like,
enough.
okay, that is, yes. I was deflated and defeated and have
I
accepted
mean,
it.
dang you, Lonnie.
Yeah. So it is the 20th running of Drag Week. And
Man, that's so cool.
yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, KJ,
KJ says my
yeah,
OCD
no,
says
yeah,
25
it's
makes 20
20
years.
20 years, yeah, but count them on your fingers, and it's 20 times. It'll
Yep.
be in the 24. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe, right? Like, I remember
Yep.
when David had told me about this. And it's like, man, you're crazy. Like, people are gonna do that,
And
And I think at the time he had Pump Gas Drags going, um, and True Street in my mind, being the Mustang guy, was like, okay, that's the
Mhm.
metric, right? Like, you do the three
Yep.
back-to-back passes, you do the 30-mile cruise, and that beats your car up enough to say street car,
That's not enough.
and then he rolls this out, and like I said, it was, from the moment it hit, it was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is special.
Yeah.
And Rob Canan, who you might know from Mala now,
Yep.
Rob and I worked for many years. He was one of my mentors early on,
That's awesome.
and he was on staff, for that first one, and just, I mean, just calling me every day, just freaking out of just how awesome it is. And he
Yeah.
lived through 92 and those early years of
Wow.
Memphis. He
Mhm.
was part of the staff that created that shootout.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So
That's really cool.
yeah, so he was working for Jeff Smith. I think he came back from an event in Michigan. Not that it wasn't a new idea. Hot Rod just took
Mhm.
it to the next level.
Yeah.
And he came back from an event from Michigan with all these photos of these crazy cars, and Pro Street was such a big theme at the time. And um, And yeah, I mean, they just decided like, all right, we're gonna throw this party at this NMCA group that runs an event. Memphis is their finals, and we're gonna do our top 10. So it
Wow.
really captured, I think, a lot of what he felt back then. Um, so it was neat to hear the excitement in his voice, and just really knowing it from the start that like, okay, this is something good.
Yeah.
And the way they built it, it was unlike anything else at the time. Like True Street, it's not a heads up drag race, right? So I
Yep.
think that's a lot of the power in it is that staying power is it's not not like a heads up class.
Yeah. And a lot of like true, racers feel like, hey, this is, I don't know, they discount drag and drive a little bit because it's not heads up, because it's not, oh, it's just timed runs every day. It's no big deal. But man, I'm telling you, it's harder than any drag racing I've ever done. Because again, the
Yeah,
drive.
it's different. I think there's so much attention that's put on qualifying, right? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, nobody today said that Todd Moyer setting the world record at 5:14 in a door car. Nobody said, well, it's a time trial. I think went
Correct.
5:14.
Yeah, right.
He went 3:45 through the eighth. Like nobody's
Yep.
disputing that. And I think that's that's how you have to think of it. Is it's just like
Yeah.
it's like a hardcore qualifying, and it takes you know I've seen it with Giovannis's car. What it needs to get done to survive it, and it's not easy. Um, it is a challenge. It's a different challenge, but it's still a challenge.
Yeah, that's for sure. Andy Redlet. Well, let's talk about maybe what you can tell us about Drag Week 2024, and then kind of when we can expect some stuff.
All right. Obviously, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I mean, obviously, a track slipped up a few weeks ago, I believe, with their 24 schedule. So, obviously, US 131 is on the schedule.
Sweet.
Like, look, I'm not gonna lie and lie about it. It is. I mean, it's just every year a track does it, and look, that's fine, right? It's not secrets in the defense Department of Defense.
Right.
But so you can kind of guess where the area is going.
Cool.
Uh, you know, I don't want to say where else from there.
Okay.
But I will say that you don't have to wait long. We're going to make the announcement tomorrow morning.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's yeah. So expect it early. I think 9:30 Eastern. We'll
Okay.
have the announcement out there. Just as I was waiting in the green room here, fielding texts and finalizing different details and double
Yeah.
checking and triple checking a lot of stuff. So, um, it's it'll be good. Just in writing the story about it, you know, it's hard to believe. Drag Week's been at 35 different drag strips
Man, that's
Wow.
so
throughout the
cool.
years. And that's a lot of them, are a lot of several times. Two tracks are very frequent on our schedule. I guess I would say there are no new tracks, unfortunately. It's really
Yeah.
hard. I was talking actually even with Lonnie um, with Lonnie Tibbs after you guys had got off with him, shooting some messages back and forth, and it's he had asked if there were new tracks, and it's really hard to
Yeah.
make that circle in that time of the year, like we talked about, what else is going on in the market. We
Hmm.
try and stay consistent with the week we do things. Power Tour, Drag Week, um, Roadkill Nights. Those are all consistent dates, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a foundation in in event business, right? Is be
Yeah.
consistent. And so the route is, I think the route will be unique, but there will
Cool.
be tracks that we have visited before.
Okay. Yeah, because we were a couple weeks ago when that was when that was released, we were kind of going through what tracks could be there, and then we started looking at their schedules about what's happening then, and what else, could you do a Tuesday at this track, because that would give time for everybody to get all their stuff from the race weekend out of the way, and then could we end up there, and so we had this big conspiracy theory about where it was going to be, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I think Rockingham may have made that mistake in the past, a couple years with releasing something by accident, and I think it really is kind of fun. I mean, like what I think you guys should do is do one that maybe doesn't exist anymore, like, but was in this general area and just throw everybody off. They're like, "What? Drag
Yeah.
Strip XYZ's not open anymore."
Yeah. No. It's a fun challenge, right? And
Yeah.
gosh, I wish I would have kept all of the maps that I've built out and kind of worked with the event team on. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, this, all these little circles, and it's like too far distance, to this, to that, and
Yeah.
it's like knock off each one. What fits, a lot of different checks a lot of boxes. I think you have to look at.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already thinking about 25.
Dude, I can only imagine. Like, that's the one thing about, Eric and I had this conversation about the little event that I put on. It's a weekend deal, but I mean, we haven't even had the 24 event, and I'm already like, oh, we can add this, we can do that, and then, oh, well, if we do that, then we'll do this in 26. It just goes back to all the crazy stuff.
Yeah. Someone had just asked if it's going to repeat the 16 route, and no, it's not.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Yep.
Well, that
There'll
that
be
is
there'll be
that
some.
gives
Yeah. I
people
mean, look.
some
I mean,
clues.
yeah. It's not gonna repeat 16. Again, like we've been through 35 tracks this side
Yeah.
of the country. I never asked Brian how many tracks there are, but I got to imagine, that's got to be at least 1/3 of the tracks we've visited.
Yeah.
And
Didn't we look that up one time? How many active tracks were in the U.S.?
um West Bucks has 400 plus tracks, but again,
is there?
you go back
Yeah.
to a situation where
Now I'm curious.
there's a situation where you guys have to have a track that can handle 300 cars. That
Yeah.
would take out a lot of tracks. That would take out probably 2/3 of the tracks, I would think. You got to have a track that is capable of handling a full on 250-mile-an-hour pass from a street car. And so that eliminates another 25 or 30%. So, then you're down to this mix of tracks that you kind of you know most of your readership, I've heard, is in the Midwest, so kind of keep it that direction. Makes it easier. You're going to get a lot more people and all that kind of stuff. The one thing I do want to ask about, and it's different now because Power Tour West is going to 5 days. But man, how do we get a drag and drive class in that dude? What I mean? You were already going to a trip. You're already doing that. Like, could people pay
So,
$50 and just turn in a slip every day?
so first, Loans just text me back 280 active tracks.
280. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're not quite a third, but you know, it's funny because obviously this year was Irwindale, Vegas, Pomona for West,
Hmm.
and just in a lot of early meetings, getting ideas, what can we do, and what are our capabilities, and I said let's do a drag weekend,
Yeah,
right? We own the copyright on it,
yeah,
and it would be easy, right? Make it super informal, and
yeah.
at this point, they put together an event, and anybody's who's done. I mean, you guys have done events, so you understand.
Yeah.
That started in September,
Oh yeah,
and they pulled it off in December,
that's
and
crazy. And a really
it's
hard time of the year too. Like, I mean, you're
right,
really competing with a lot of stuff then. A
right,
lot of fun
and
stuff, not just car stuff.
they're pretty stressed out, right? Because they have
Mhm.
our company just doesn't do just the stuff you guys see, right? The three
Yeah.
events, the marquee events, right? But there's an F1 activation that our company ran for Alfa Romeo.
Wow.
There's other OE activations. There's of the year stuff. There's CES, or Motor Trend side, does a special you know EV style awards, right? SDV,
Wow.
software defined vehicles. So the events division, they're in charge of all that stuff to host those parties and run these events. So, in the middle of it, it's like, oh yeah, let's just do a power tour west.
Yeah.
So
It's
Yeah.
just
so
3 days.
yeah, exactly, right. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's just do an informal drag weekend, have some
Yeah.
fun on the West Coast, kind of introduce that brand to them. And if I was in the room, I think they would have, hit me with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, here was my thought. I I feel like um, the way for the community to continue to grow is that we're going to piggyback on some of these style events, right? So that was my only thinking. Like, could you add a drag and drive class to your Power Tour West? Because Power Tour West is going to get more people than Drag Weekend California.
Right.
It's just going to draw more
And
folks.
that's kind of, and that's the expenses, the renting the
Mhm.
facilities. And
Oh yeah,
that was exactly where I was going with it. Was like, well, if all this stuff is rented,
yeah.
and then just
You just got a
one
table.
more step, right? One more
Yeah.
step.
Yep.
I
But
get it. They had a lot of pressure. They had the very
yeah.
short lead times. They had a lot of pieces they had to put together,
Oh
and
yeah. And then then you
and they
start
pulled it
thinking
off
about
spectacularly. Yeah,
yeah. And now you got to add classes. Now you got to add trophies. Now you got to. It would not have made any sense trying to put it together that fast.
yeah,
But that's definitely something to put in the back of your mind. I like where you're
yeah,
going, or
yeah.
back of your
And
mind. It was already in your mind,
yeah.
back of their mind.
And someone had mentioned before I got on when Lonnie was, I don't know if it was Lonnie was on or you guys were just doing your one-to-one deal, but you had talked about with like the two groups, right? And they
Mhm.
race at opposing tracks. Well, now you're doubling the staff,
Oh yeah.
doubling your facility cost. So it does complicate it from an expense standpoint, and
Oh yeah. I can't imagine.
yeah, and it's a great idea, right? It would work fantastic. That's brilliant, and when I first got on, there was talk of like, is there a way to expand drag week? And, I said, well, why don't we stagger, the same concept with two groups? Like one group runs on Monday, one group runs on Tuesday. And then, so you finish Friday and Saturday.
Oh wow.
And it
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, but it was just logistically, it was just too challenging. You couldn't pull it off
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
for
again,
those same reasons.
yeah, double the staff, and I think for us, from my experience, drag and drive stuff is way different than power tour. We were on the side of the road. We were passed by a lot of power tourers, but we are typically never passed by drag drivers. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's
that's
Power Tour is amazing. That was my
yeah,
first one this past year. And
that's
it
awesome.
was, oh, what a blast it was.
Well, I mean, 3,000 cars, all man. There's nothing like pulling into
Three?
a city.
Little more than 3, it was 6,000 long haulers.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
That's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy. So,
Wow.
like,
yeah,
for folks that are at home, think about that. Like, if you were to go to your Walmart store right now and there's 400 parking spots there at your Walmart, they're all hot rods. All
yeah,
every single one,
yeah.
every gas station, every hotel, every
Yeah,
restaurant, everything
it
everywhere is a
just
hot rod.
yeah, it just like locust, it just takes over gas stations.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to put together a power tour. Drag and drive our event's called the circuit. It's hard enough, and we have 150 people. I can't imagine trying to put
Yeah,
together.
it's
Where
quite an
can you take
undertaking,
6,000 people?
right? And it's a year in the making, right? And
Yep.
and you and when you think about it, it's like when once we do decide the route, we decided early on, then you have contracts from everybody, but then it's hotels. Because you got to get your hotels first before anybody.
Yeah.
Because if you announce it and you're not prepared, like your staff is kind of in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And I joke with the event people all the time. It's like, hey, look, I just have to show up.
Yeah.
Like you got to do the work, and I throw some crazy ideas out to them. Sometimes they laugh, sometimes they snicker, but
Yeah.
it's all to just try and elevate it, give a better experience, and be different.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on tonight. I really
Yeah.
do. This is the most time you and I've ever spent anywhere together, even looking at each other's Facebook pages. So I appreciate your time. Is there anything we haven't talked about tonight that you'd like to?
No, not much. I mean, I think we covered
Perfect.
a pretty wide spread of things,
Good.
and
That means you'll have to come back on because we'll think of
oh,
something after this.
I'll talk about this stuff every day because I
Yeah.
do. I love it. I live for it. This is what I do, and the streetcar stuff is really, you know, that's what I grew up on, and
Yep.
especially fastest streetcar stuff in '92. Very impressionable years, and so to be a part of it is fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, we appreciate it. Where can people follow you? I mean, I don't see a whole ton of posts from Mike Galimi on Facebook, but is there maybe more posts on Instagram?
I try and hit both, but yeah, Facebook and Instagram are the two. I don't do X. I don't do TikTok. Um, But yeah, no, I get a lot of hassles from some friends who want me to be a little more active on social media. So I'm going to try and do a little bit more. I try and keep where I'm going, keep people informed, and kind of some of the fun stuff I've gotten to do. But I need to do a better job. But
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah, that's the way it'll work. Well, I think most of the time I see you posting on Instagram, so I follow you on both, and I'll keep doing that. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon, dude. I guess
Definitely.
am I gonna have to wait till Drag Week to see you? Is that the next time we're
I
around
don't
each other?
know. Putting together the schedule. I'll show up at a couple places.
Sweet.
Never know.
All right.
It won't be sick week. I got the SEMA MPMC conference next week,
Yeah.
so I won't be able to make sick week. I was kind of bummed, especially I wanted to see Jeff and Alex Taylor
Yeah.
run. But yeah, no, I'll be somewhere down the road. I'll definitely see you guys before Drag Week. And
Awesome.
All right.
tomorrow morning, check it out. We'll
Yeah.
big unveiling.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll be
excited
ready.
about that.
It,
Yep.
it won't be a surprise to some, but it'll be good. We'll have a good time.
All
Yeah.
right.
Perfect. Thanks a bunch, Mike.
Yep.
All
Thank
right,
you.
guys. Thank you
See
for
ya.
having me. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Of
You bet.
course.
Bye. Dude, how fun was that?
That was a lot of fun. That was a good time.
I said it before he came on, but he's kind of a big deal. It's kind of cool to hear the stories he has, and what's really cool about a guy like him is that he lived this. You know what I mean? He not only from the drag and drive side of being in the car, but also now all of the behind the scenes stuff that happens. So
Right.
well, we're a little over. We like to keep this about 2 hours. So I just want to wrap up the show by again thanking our race car friends, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of all of this that goes on here. I'll say thanks to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Howard's Cam, Sweet Patina, Car Chains, and Racing Junk. We can't do it without those guys either. So if you're shopping for stuff, please make your way over to them and find. I'm sure you can find the parts, you can find cool stuff, you can find gifts at all of those places.
Yep. And
Um,
then we
yeah,
won't be on Saturday.
nope.
You and I are both traveling, which is a rare occurrence that we're both gone
Yeah.
the same
Yep.
weekend. So there won't be a news show this weekend.
Yep. So the we were going to try it, but man, it's just too hard to try and do that from the road. And it's funny, the timing will be both of us will actually be in the car then. So we could probably do it, but it wouldn't be as good. And guess we don't want to do that. Again, thank you to PowerTube TV. This will probably be the first episode that drops over there. So I'm excited to be a part of Ray and Brian's vision that's going on over at PowerTube TV. And then, guys, next week, this Drag Drive Repeat show is going to be live. I'll be live at Sick Week. I don't even know who I'll be around. I don't know what hotel I'll be staying at. I don't know anything about going on there, but Eric will kind of help lead the show, and I'll talk about some of the stories that are coming. I
Yep.
don't know what's going on. I'm having like an allergy attack or something right now. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the guests, and I'm excited to see what's going to come from Sick Week.
Yep. So good luck to everybody. Safe travels on your way down to Sick Week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.